A few weeks ago, we took a look at all the ships in Genndy Tartakovsky's 2D Clone Wars cartoon. This week, we are moving into the third dimension and taking a look at Dave Filoni's The Clone Wars. Now, the thing about The Clone Wars is that there is a lot of it. There was a movie and 6 consecutive seasons of TV, and then a 7th season later on down the line. Each season had up to 22 episodes in it, which averaged about 25 minutes long. So far, each of my Every Ship videos have covered about 2.5 hours of content each, or the equivalent of 5 episodes of The Clone Wars. Now, I really do not want to talk about The Clone Wars for the next 28 videos, so we're going to have to move through these much faster than usual. Call it a prolonged lightning round, if you will. Anyway, we are starting with... Hey, no, not that fast. I wasn't done talking yet. God, I wasn't even done with the intro yet. Okay, we're starting with the movie. In the intro, we see 2 Delta-7 Aether Sprite interceptors, 2 Acclamator assault ships, a squadron of Vulture droids, several Munificent-class star frigates, several Venator-class star destroyers, one of which carries LAATs and ATTEs, a Trident-class assault ship, Jabba the Hutt's LO KD-57 sail barge named the Katana, 2 Bantha II cargo skiffs, and numerous unknown Coruscant traffic ships. Later, we see 3 Venators at a Haven-class medical station, along with a Pelta-class frigate and a Consular-class Charger C-70 cruiser. On Christophsis, we see ATTEs, ATRTs, and Octoptara tri-droids, as well as AV-7 anti-vehicle cannons, which, as the name suggests, are not vehicles, but I thought I should mention them. The Separatists later bring in AAT tanks and NR-N99 tank droids, and the Republic brings a new class attack shuttle. In the space battle above, we see more Munificents, Venators, and Vulture droids, as well as V-19 Torrent starfighters. Much later, Obi-Wan travels to Tatooine in his Delta-7 using a Siluur 31 hyperdrive ring. On Teth, an Acclamator dispenses a strike force of LAATIs, LAATCs, and ATTEs. The only vehicles the Separatists have at the Teth Monastery are STAP speeders, though they send reinforcements consisting of a squadron of Vulture droids and a C-9979 landing craft later on. Anakin and Ahsoka escape the battle in a G9 Rigger-class light freighter named the Twilight, which they immediately crash on Tatooine, having been shot down by 2 Rogue-class Porax 38 starfighters. On Coruscant, we see Padme use a J-type star skiff to get into trouble, and later C-3PO uses her H-type star yacht to get her out of it. Back on Tatooine, Count Dooku uses his Flitnot speeder bike, which Anakin promptly steals. Dooku flees the planet on his Punwarka 116 yacht, and the movie ends with a LAT coming to pick up Anakin and Ahsoka. Season 1. Episode 1. Ambush. In Episode 1, we see the Thief's Eye, a Sorosub Peregrine-class star yacht used by King Katunko of Toydaria. He is planning to meet with Yoda, who arrives in a Consular-class cruiser which is attacked by a Munificent-class frigate. Yoda escapes in an escape pod. Later, the Separatists deliver several AATs in a C-9979 landing craft. At the end of the episode, Ventress flees the scene in Dooku's Solar Sailor, and the Republic sends a Venator and 2 LATs to pick up Yoda, King Katunko, and their troops. Episode 2. Rising Malevolence. Episode 2 starts with Plo Koon's Venator and the Separatist flagship, the Malevolence, which is a Subjugator-class dreadnought. Out the window of Anakin's Venator, we see 2 V-19 Torrents. Plo's Venator group are destroyed, but he escapes in an escape pod. The Malevolence deploys a Droch-class boarding craft to hunt down and destroy all the escape pods launched from Plo's fleet. Anakin and Ahsoka go to rescue him in the Twilight, which they retrieved from Tatooine and repaired. They return him to the fleet, which consists of 3 Venators and 3 Acclamators. The bay they land in houses additional Torrents and several LATs. Episode 3. Shadow of Malevolence. Episode 3 is a continuation of Episode 2 and includes all the same ships, as well as a squadron of new BTLB Y-Wing starfighters, and a Pelta-class medical frigate. After destroying the frigate, the Malevolence travels to the Kaleida Shoals Medical Station, another Haven class. Anakin's Y-Wing squadron moves to defend it, alongside Plo Koon's Delta 7B interceptor in a Silure 31 hyperdrive ram. The Malevolence deploys a squadron of Vulture droids to battle them, and finally a fleet of Venators arrive to finish off the damaged Malevolence. Episode 4. Destroy Malevolence. Moving on to Episode 4, Grievous captures Padmé's H-type star yacht to take her hostage. Inside the Malevolence, we see a network of railjet hover trains running through it. The Dreadnought is 4.8 kilometers or 3 miles long, so I suppose these are very necessary. After Padmé and her rescuers make use of the Malevolence's robust public transportation services, sabotage the ship, and flee in the twilight, Grievous takes off in his Belbalab 22 heavy starfighter, Solus 1, to pursue them. The Malevolence is destroyed. Episode 5. Rookies. Episode 5 has a fleet of 5 Venators, including Anakin's flagship the Resolute, 3 C-70 frigates, and 2 V-19 turrets. The Separatists attack an outpost with several Droid-class boarding ships disguised in a meteor shower. The fleet they were launched from includes 9 Munificents, 2 Lucrehulk-class battleships, and a squadron of Vulture droids. However, Commander Cody comes to investigate in a new class attack shuttle named the Obex. Later, we see a C-9979 landing craft, and finally the clones are rescued into LAAT gunships. Episode 6. Downfall of a Droid. In Episode 6, we see a battle group of 3 Venators, a hologram of an AT-TE, and a fleet of 6 Munificents. The Republic launches a squadron of V-19s and Anakin's Delta 7B Aether Sprite interceptor. By the way, the 7B differs from the original Delta 7 in that the droid socket is in front of the cockpit instead of the wing so that the droid can actually realistically fit in it. The Separatist fleet is destroyed with the aid of AT-TEs hidden in the asteroid field, and General Grievous flees the battle in Solus 1. Later, we see 2 LAATs and the Twilight in the Resolute's hangar, as well as additional Torrents. Anakin takes the Twilight to survey a field of wreckage which includes several Acclamator-class assault ships. Also surveying the wreckage is a GS-100 salvage ship named the Vulture's Claw. Later, we see another Silure 31 hyperdrive ring. Unfortunately, it takes Anakin directly to a pair of Munificent-class star frigates which launch a squadron of Vulture droids. Episode 7. Duel of the Droids. The Vulture's Claw arrives at a Separatist battle sphere, a variant of the Trade Federation core ship. And so does the Twilight, which rescued Anakin at the end of the previous episode. In the battle sphere's hangar, we see several Vulture droids and a pair of Rogue-class Porax 38 starfighters. After the battle sphere is sabotaged, Grievous flees in Solus 1 as usual. Episode 8. Bombad Jedi. Episode 8 starts on Padmé's H-type star yacht. Sometime later, Nute Gunray arrives in the Lapis Cutter, his automated Sheathipede-class shuttle. At the end of the episode, 2 LAATs are dispatched to arrest him. Episode 9. Cloak of Darkness. After Gunray's arrest, he is transferred to a C-70 frigate which transfers him to the Star Destroyer Tranquility. Asajj Ventress is dispatched from Count Dooku's fleet of 3 Munificents. She brings a squadron of Vulture droids and 3 Droid-class boarding pods, which embed themselves in Tranquility's hangar near the ship's complement of LAATs. Gunray and a traitorous Senate guard escape the Tranquility in the C-70, which also picks up Ventress, who fled in an escape pod. Episode 10. Lair of Grievous. Episode 10 starts with Kit Fisto's Delta 7B and matching Silure 31. We also see Solus 1 and later a new class attack shuttle. Episode 11. Dooku captured. Episode 11 starts on a Munificent-class star frigate, which apparently lets just anyone walk on in. In its hangar, we see Dooku's Punwarka 116-class solar sailor, 2 Vulture droids, and an armed Sheathipede. Later, we see Hondo Ohnaka's Corona-class armed frigate, the Acushnet. Hondo captures Dooku and they travel back to his base, landing in a Flare Star-class attack shuttle. We also see a new class attack shuttle. Later, we see the Resolute, which launches the Twilight to go take Dooku from the pilots. And finally, we see several Starhawk-class speeder bikes. Episode 12, The Gungun General. A pirate in a Flare Star attack shuttle shoots down the new class attack shuttle sent to deliver Dooku's ransom. Later, we see 3 WL-05 battle tanks. Dooku steals a Flare Star to escape, and the Jedi leave in the twilight. Episode 13, Jedi Crash. Episode 13 starts at the Battle of Quell, which consists of several Munificents, Aayla Secura's Venator Liberty, V-19s, and Vulture Droids. The Resolute arrives to rescue Secura and deploys several LATs. When the rescue goes awry, the Resolute also sends a C-70 frigate to Liberty's docking bay so that the Jedi can escape. After a blind hyperspace jump, the frigate crashes on Meriden. Episode 14, Defenders of the Peace. After the crash, the Jedi found a local village, at which a C-9979 landing craft is now landing. After some time, it deploys 2 AATs and a defoliator tank. Later, the Jedi hijack the Separatists' armed Sheathipede shuttle. Finally, at the end of the episode, 3 Venators are sent to rescue them. Episode 15, Trespass. Episode 15 starts with 4 LAATs landing on Pantora. Our heroes take CK-6 speeder bikes, also known as Freako bikes, to investigate a crashed Separatist XT Beetle transport. Later, we also see several BARC speeder bikes in the Republic base. Episode 16, The Hidden Enemy. In this prequel to the Clone Wars movie we looked at the beginning of this video, we see AATs, LAATs, ATTEs, BARC speeders, C-9979 landing craft, STAP speeder bikes, and a Trident-class assault ship. Episode 17, Blue Shadow Virus. On Naboo we find Staps and a Flitnot speeder bike. Padme's H-type yacht arrives on the planet, passing a YT-1300 class light freighter and landing amongst a squadron of Naboo N-1 starfighters. Padme and Jar Jar investigate a plague in a Naboo scout speeder, also known as an S-130 shelter speeder. Later, Anakin arrives on Naboo in an LAAT. The Separatist mad scientist responsible for the plague nearly escapes in an armed Sheathipede, but is stopped. Episode 18, Mystery of 1,000 Moons. This episode has all the same ships of the previous, plus the Twilight, the wreckage of hundreds of unknown ships, and a squadron of abandoned Vulture droids that R2-D2 remotely controls. Episode 19, Storm over Ryloth. The storm in question is a Separatist blockade consisting of a Lucrehulk and numerous Munificents. The Republic sends a fleet of Venators in response, which launch V-19 Torrents and Ahsoka's Delta-7B. The Separatists supply a squadron of Vulture droids for them to shoot at. Anakin travels to the damaged Star Destroyer Defender in a new class shuttle, which is surrounded by LATs in the Resolute's hangar. After Anakin rams the Lucrehulk with the Defender, he escapes in an escape pod and is retrieved by another new class shuttle. With the Separatist command ship gone, Ahsoka leads a squadron of BTLB Y-Wings to the surface. Obi-Wan also arrives with a fleet of Acclamators. Episode 20, Innocence of Rey. Kenobi's Acclamators deploy a squadron of LAATs, but are prevented from landing by the Separatists' J-1 proton cannons. After these and the invaders' AATs are destroyed, the Acclamators land and deliver several ATTEs to retake the capital. Episode 21, Liberty on Ryloth. After the ATTEs are stopped by the Separatists' AATs, the clones and Mace Windu proceed on ATRTs. After destroying the AATs in return, they overlook a cliff where we can see 2 crashed C-9979s. We also see several damaged and abandoned MTTs as well. The Separatists launch a squadron of Hyena-class droid bombers, which they use to begin carpet bombing Twi'lek cities. Anakin and Ahsoka come to fight them in their Delta 7Bs and the Y-Wings of Gold Squadron. Later, Mace attacks a Separatist convoy consisting of 2 functioning MTTs and several STAPs. Later still, after the Republic and the Twi'leks turn the tide of the battle, Wat Tambor is betrayed by his own tactical droid, which steals his automated Sheathipede shuttle and escapes. Episode 22, Hostage Crisis. In the final episode of the season, we see Cad Bane land at the Senate Shuttleport in a Hyrodi Corporation Comfort Ride passenger airspeeder. There are also 2 Util 313 shuttle buses on the landing pad. There is also a larger ship that I can't identify. It looks very familiar, but I can't think of what it would be, and Wikipedia doesn't mention it in the Hostage Crisis episode page at all. Let me know if you know what it is. Later, we see the Bounty Hunter's Comfort Ride towing a smaller airspeeder similar to the Easy Ride, but with a windshield, 1 less headlight, and a different seating arrangement capable of carrying a hut. Clone troopers arrive at the Senate to get control of the situation in several lats, which mark the last ships of the episode and the season. And that's every ship and vehicle in the Clone Wars Season 1. Let me know which ship and which episode was your favorite in the comments, and subscribe to make sure you don't miss Part 2 in a couple weeks. RFC, out.